Discover the unexpected surprise my son revealed, a 900,000 debt that changed everything forever. Anna stood in the kitchen, her scrub still on from the long shift at the hospital, when Jake walked through the door. The smile that danced on her lips faded as she saw the terror in his eyes. "Mom," he said, barely above a whisper. "I need to talk to you." Those words, always a prelude to important news, sent chills down her spine. She could sense the weight of something monumental pressing down upon them. When Jake revealed that he had inherited nearly $1 million in debt, the room felt like it was closing in. She gasped, her mind racing. This couldn't be right. He hadn't even signed for those loans. Her heart sank into her stomach, churning with disbelief and helplessness. Their future was a fragile thread, and this revelation threatened to snap it in two. The very essence of her sacrifices for the past 20 years, working multiple nursing jobs, stretching every dollar, came crashing down around her. In that moment, a mix of protective instincts and overwhelming fear flooded her mind. The thought of Jake, a bright college student with dreams and an open heart, being crushed under the weight of bureaucratic error felt like a gut punch. How could she shield him from this disaster? Why did this have to happen to them? The unanswered questions spiraled around her. She felt like she was drowning in resentment towards a system that could ruin lives with the stroke of a pen. "Mom, what are we going to do?" Jake's voice quivered, breaking her reverie. She looked at his youthful face, shadows of panic etched across his features. Her own anxiety mounted. How could she reassure her son when uncertainty coiled tightly around her heart? She wanted to say it would be all right, that they would fix this somehow, but doubts clawed at her. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Days turned into a blur as they navigated the maze of cold bureaucratic phone calls and dismissive administrators. Each interaction drained her further, intensifying the tension between them. Anna felt Jake's eyes bore into her, seeking answers she didn't have. Would they have to forego his education? Sell their modest home? Was that the price for a system that failed them? Every sleepless night added to her gnawing desperation. The frustration of unyielding obstacles was enough to make her question her resolve. Should she fight back against an institution that seemed so robust? Or was it more sensible to seek a way to forgive and let it go? Choices loomed as the stakes rose, and the betrayal began to wrap itself around them. Just when it seemed like hope flickered back to life, a dark revelation shifted her world again, a connection to someone they trusted, and betrayal rearing its ugly head. Anna felt a wave of nausea wash over her. In her quest for justice, would she jeopardize the very relationship she fought to protect? The choice seemed unbearable, leaving her standing on the edge of a precipice, determined yet deeply conflicted, knowing their lives would never be the same again. How far would she go for her son? Every thought, every second was a reminder that this battle was just beginning, and the nightmare had only just begun to unfold. Anna sat at the small kitchen table, her fingers tracing the rim of a mug that had long gone cold. The walls seemed to close in, echoing the burden of the news that had shattered her world. Each breath felt heavier than the last as she sifted through her thoughts, grappling with the magnitude of their situation. Jake moved restlessly nearby, his phone lighting up with notifications that he ignored like they were the last remnants of a carefree life. In a split second, she made a decision. They might be trapped in this darkness, but they would work together to light a way out. "Jake," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "We need a plan. We can't just sit here and hope it gets better." Her son looked at her, a flicker of hope breaking through the clouds of despair that hung over him. "What do you suggest, Mom?" "Let's start by understanding exactly what this debt is. We'll look at the numbers, dissect it. Maybe there's a section that's incorrect or can be contested, she proposed, feeling an unfamiliar surge of determination. The more she delved into the details, the more resolute she felt. That evening, they spread documents across the dining table, stacks of papers filled with jargon and figures that felt foreign. Together, they began their investigation, tracing each loan, each fee. With every line she read, Anna felt the tendrils of fear loosen their grip slightly. Perhaps they weren't as powerless as she initially thought, perhaps knowledge could wield a sword against their predicament. As night wore on, they dove deep into the numbers. They found discrepancies, fees that seemed outrageous, loans Jake had no knowledge of. Something in her burned brighter. This roll of facts had become not just paperwork but a representation of their fight. "Mom, we need to confront the lenders," Jake said, the edge of his voice sharpened with conviction. She caught the determination in her son's eyes. This was Jake, focused, driven, unwilling to yield to circumstances. It struck her, this was not merely about the debt, but about resilience. Had she instilled that fire in him all along? The realization sent ripples of pride through her, an unexpected buoy in their tumultuous sea. With growing confidence, Anna began to strategize. They crafted a letter, a formal request for a review of the debt, carefully outlining their findings and expressing their intention to seek legal counsel if their concerns were not addressed. Each word they chose felt like an arrow, aimed directly at the heart of their bureaucratic enemy. They did not just need to challenge the debt, they needed to reclaim their narrative. The next week rolled around with all the agonizing slowness of a tense thriller. They dispatched the letter via certified mail, marking the date with a bold red X on a calendar. Every day would stretch into a nail-biter, yet each moment felt heavier with promise. Despite their determination, nights in bed were filled with creeping doubts. What if it wasn't enough? What if their efforts fell flat? Still, even the silence wrapped around them held a whisper of strength. Anna couldn't lie to herself, there was a flicker of hope, something she had to cling to. But just as she began to feel a semblance of control in their struggle, a phone call shattered their constructed resolve. A voice on the other end introduced itself as someone directly involved with the debts, a familiar name from the past that made Anna's heart drop. "Your son's debts are linked to a family member, and we need to discuss this matter further." Anna's heartbeat thundered. The unsettling connection loomed large, shifting the ground beneath her. Would the bastion she had built now crumble? The moment had come where her history tangled with their present, and every emotional thread she had carefully unraveled was about to twist back into a knot. How would Anna confront this new revelation? How would it change their path ahead? Anna stood in the kitchen, the phone trembling in her grip as the voice on the other end faded into an echo of dread. She leaned against the counter, her thoughts spiraling. How could a family member's choices entrap her son in this financial mess? The very foundation of her resolve now felt precarious. "Mom." Jake's voice broke through her fog. He had seen the pallor wash over her face, the way her shoulders trembled. "What's wrong?" She took a breath, steadying herself. It's about your debts, Jake. They're saying they're tied to someone in the family." His confusion mirrored her own. "Who? How? I don't understand." Anna needed to frame her words delicately. The last thing she wanted was to spark panic or, worse, resignation. "I'm not sure yet. We'll get through this together, but we need to gather all the facts. We have to find out what this means for you." With a determined nod, they sat down again at the table, stacks of documents towering over them like dark clouds. They would confront this together, as they had done before. Spreadsheets and dating charts became their allies, and as Anna flipped through the pages, clarity began to emerge, line by line. The disorganized whirl of numbers started forming a coherent narrative. She pulled up the details related to the family member. The name lingered in her mind like a haunting melody. A distant relative who had always teetered on the edge of generosity and recklessness. Was this impulsive spending the root of their imminent disaster? Days passed, and Anna immersed herself in research, learning about debt laws, consumer protection rights, and the necessity for formal documentation. The unfamiliarity of it all made her anxious, but it also fueled her ambition to regain control. As she delved deeper, she stumbled upon a local community service that provided free legal assistance for debt audits. The prospect of having someone guide them through this maze was a beacon of light in a daunting abyss. "Let us go, Jake," she said one afternoon, her heart racing with urgency. "We're going to meet a lawyer." Jake's brows furrowed. "Are you sure we need to? It's not just about fighting the debt anymore, it's about understanding it. Someone else's choices brought this upon you. We can't sit back waiting for clarity, we need to pave our own path." The meeting was intimidating. The office smelled of polished wood and faint cologne, walls adorned with diplomas that felt beyond her reach. Yet Anna fought the feelings of inferiority. They weren't searching for pity, they were seeking strength in knowledge. "So, you're saying you want to contest these debts?" The attorney, a poised woman named Claire, asked from behind her desk, her gaze penetrating. "Yes," Anna replied, her voice firm. "But I want to understand how this family connection binds my son to decisions he never made." Claire nodded, taking notes, her demeanor switching to one of calculated focus. "I can guide you through this, but we need to be clear, confronting family matters can be emotionally charged. Are both of you prepared for that?" Jake glanced at Anna, who gifted him a reassuring smile. "We'll handle it. We're not just fighting for freedom from debt, we're fighting for a future without shadows." As Claire began outlining the potential avenues they could pursue, Anna's invigorated spirit sparked something in her son. She could see it, a flicker of hope igniting in Jake's eyes. Each step forward became a brick in the fort they were building against their adversities, but just as clarity emerged, a new message appeared on Anna's phone. It was from an unknown number, cryptically saying, "I know more than you think. Let us talk." The chill that surged through her was palpable, shocking her back to uncertainty. Could this be another link to the family member? What could possibly lie hidden beneath layers of this convoluted mess? The looming question left Anna's heart racing. Would they be ready to confront whoever was pulling the strings behind their debts? The atmosphere in the kitchen felt electric, charged with the looming question behind the unsettling message. Anna froze for a moment, staring at her phone as though it were a rattlesnake poised to strike. Her mind pulled at the threads of her emotions: fear, urgency, and the nagging whisper of doubt that brought her resolve into question. "What is wrong, Mom?" Jake asked again, concern painting his features. He instinctively reached out to place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. She shook her head, forcing a calm breath to ground her racing thoughts. "It's nothing we can't handle. Just a message I didn't expect." While Jake resumed at the table, Anna briefly scanned through the text again, every word echoing the fear of the unknown. It could very well lead her deeper into the treacherous waters of family scandal. That realization was sobering. Anna needed to not just respond but to act, to ensure she didn't stand idle while uncertainty gnawed away at them. "What was that you said about gathering all the facts?" Jake prompted, eyes glistening with their shared determination. "Exactly. We need to approach this strategically, find out who sent this message and what they know." The conviction behind Anna's voice surprised her. What should have felt daunting began to spark a fire within. Days spent in research had peeled away layers of her own vulnerabilities, revealing a stubborn will to protect her son, to carve a path out of chaos. On the surfaces of meticulously compiled debts and family ties, she found a new resolve, a realization that her past struggles with lack of control were now fuel for her fire. "Let us trace this," Anna said firmly. "If they know something, we need to confront it head-on." They decided to enter the digital realm, a maze of social media accounts and distant connections that could hold answers. Each click was a step further into the familial labyrinth. They made notes, mapping out relationships, marking potential allies and antagonists with apprehensive pencils. The gravity of their project weighed on them, but with it came an unexpected sense of empowerment, pushing them to the forefront of their fate. After hours of digging through profiles, Anna stumbled upon a comment thread on one of her relatives' accounts. As she skimmed through, names emerged, old family disagreements surfaced, a web of secrets hinted at betrayal that might be connected to the deaths. Each new link tightened her anxiety but also fanned the flames of her determination. "Look at this," she said, sharing her screen with Jake. "We need to reach out to this cousin. He might know who sent that message." "It's worth a shot," Jake replied, his voice now steady. Just hours ago, uncertainty clouded his eyes, but now, he reflected a maturity that made Anna proud. As they prepared to draft the message, tension twisted in Anna's chest. She felt like a soldier preparing for battle. Each keystroke was a calculated move in a game she never wanted to play. Minutes later, a response pinged back almost instantly. The reply was vague but hinted at deeper knowledge of ongoing family disputes. "I don't know much, but I've heard whispers about your debts tied to Greg," it read, referring to the very relative Anna had been dreading to confront. A chilling thought coursed through her. Had Greg knowingly let the repercussions of his choices spill over into their lives? Anger melded with concern as Anna contemplated what this could mean. Just as she leaned back in her chair to catch her breath, her phone vibrated once more. A third message from the unknown contact appeared. "Are you sure you want to dig deeper? You'll wish you hadn't." Anna's heart dropped, realization dawning this was more than a financial mess, it was a moral minefield, and stepping forward could unravel more than she anticipated. She glanced at Jake, who wore an expression of fierce resolve. "We can't back down now," he said. "Whatever's coming, we face it together." Instinctively, Anna nodded and tightened her grip around the phone. They were already in, but the real question loomed: what would happen when they found out what lay beneath this family catastrophe? The stakes were following an upward trajectory, and with every new twist, Anna sensed they were approaching something larger than just debt. The impending confrontation felt unavoidable, and soon enough, the real battle would begin. What revelations awaited them in this tangled web of family ties? And when the truth was uncovered, what would be left standing? The quiet resonated in the room, disturbed only by the occasional creak of the old house settling. The tension hung thick in the air, palpable enough that Anna could almost reach out and grasp it. She had made a decision, the moment of reckoning was upon them, and it required everything she had. "Jake," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "We have to meet this cousin in person. If he knows something substantial, we need to look him in the eyes." Jake gave her a nod, his earlier confidence rekindling like a spark igniting a fire. "You're right. We can't rely on just texts and emails anymore. I'll help you research where we can find him." In those moments of planning, Anna felt a rush of purpose fill her veins. It was more than just hunting for information, it was about reclaiming control over her life and her family's narrative. She had often struggled to voice her needs in the past, letting others dominate the conversation. But now, with the well-being of her son at stake, she felt illuminated, as if the shadows of her previous indecision were finally parting. They set up a timeline, noting down every potential lead, every family member who could either help or hinder their endeavors. As the sun set beyond the horizon, painting the kitchen a warm orange, they worked side by side, their phones open and their laptops aglow with the digital web they were unraveling. Each interaction had layered their understanding of family dynamics: a previously overlooked cousin here, a financial setup there. But with each piece of information, another question arose, branching into uncertainty. Who could be trusted? Who might be hiding more than they revealed? After hours of strategizing, a message garnered a sudden shift in the atmosphere. It was a video call from Greg, the very relative Anna had wanted to avoid. Her heart sank as she looked at Jake, whose expression mirrored her trepidation. "Do we answer?" he asked, a sense of urgency rising. "Yes," Anna said, conviction in her voice. "It's now or never." As she accepted the call, a face filled with disinterest came into view, a slightly smug grin obscured by a carefully crafted veneer of calm. Greg's eyes glimmered with something Anna couldn't quite place, confidence laced with a hint of something darker. "Anna," he began, leaning back in his chair. "I hear you've been asking questions." A cold wave rushed over her, and she steadied her breath. "Greg, we need to talk about the debts, and the message I received." You know more than you've let on, and I want the truth. His casual demeanor shifted slightly, as a thin smile spread across his lips. The truth? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You might not like what you discover. Anna felt her pulse quicken. How many times had she allowed fear to guide her decisions? No longer. I'm ready to hear it, whether it's ugly or not, she asserted. Greg leaned in closer to the screen, a premonition stirring within Anna as if he was about to unleash a truth that she both sought and dreaded. All right then, but once you dig deep, you might question your very ties to this family. The words hit her hard. With a deep breath, she leaned forward, prepared for whatever was about to unfold. I won T back down. I want the truth, and I will face the consequences head-on. His gaze held hers for a moment longer, the tension crackling between them like a physical force, and then he sighed, shaking his head. You might wish you hadn't chosen this path. As the call ended abruptly, Anna felt as if a door had swung open to a nightmare she hadn't anticipated. They were clearly standing at the precipice of something monumental, and with every ounce of strength, she steeled herself for the journey ahead. Jake, she said, turning to her son, whose face was a mixture of anxiety and determination. We might be diving into a rabbit hole, but we have to do it together. No matter what we find. The sound of her phone buzzing again snapped her back to the present. A message from the same unknown contact materialized, its simplicity striking. You have no idea what you're about to unleash. Breathless with anticipation and trepidation, Anna looked at Jake. Something tells me the real fight is just beginning. What were the implications of Greg's words, and what buried truths lay waiting? Anna felt a whisper of fear, but alongside it, an unwavering resolve to face whatever darkness was lurking in her family's past. Anna felt the tension tightening around her as she absorbed the weight of Greg's parting words. The unsettling feeling churned within her, a mix of anticipation and dread. With a steely resolve, she tucked her phone away and faced Jake, whose youthful features were clouded by the gravity of the situation. Mom, this could backfire. If Greg is hiding something, he could use it against us, Jake warned, his voice barely above a whisper. Or he could provide the answers we need, Anna countered, her brow furrowed. We can't run from him. We have to confront this head-on. Jake hesitated but nodded. She could see the fear in his eyes, a reflection of her own uncertainties, yet he was willing to forge ahead. That synchronicity forged a bond between them, reinforced by their shared goal, the truth. In the days that followed, they plunged into a relentless search for information. They reached out to distant relatives, scoured social media accounts, and even unearthed old family documents from the attic. Each piece felt like a breadcrumb leading them deeper into an unfolding narrative, one where Anna was gradually assuming control over her own destiny. It was during one late-night session, the glow of their laptops illuminating their focused faces, that a surprising revelation struck. An archived article about a family financial crisis from decades before detailed unexplained debts and a series of high-stakes loans that matched Greg's vague insinuations. Mom, look at this! Jake exclaimed, pointing to the screen. There's a connection here to our family name. This article mentions inheritance disputes and hidden wealth. Anna's heart raced. What if this is the key? If we can get our hands on those documents, see who stood to gain. As a plan solidified in Anna's mind, she couldn't ignore the ticking clock. They had a week until they were scheduled to meet Greg. The pressure ignited a new intensity within her. This exploration had become more than just about protecting Jake, it was about finally claiming her voice, her truth, but there was still a fear lurking in the subconscious, a voice that asked how far they were willing to go. She wrestled with the dilemma, was this pursuit truly about justice, or was it veering into obsession? The more she uncovered, the more questions sprouted, unraveling threads of confusion and distrust. It was becoming clearer to Anna that this quest would demand more than her courage, it would require her moral compass to navigate the murky waters of familial loyalties. One afternoon, as they sifted through yet another stack of paperwork, Anna found a notation of a loan, a staggering amount that sent chills down her spine. Jake, she said, her voice trembling slightly. You need to see this. It's over 900,000 money that, if the rumors are true, could jeopardize our family's entire future. Jake paled, the realization hitting them like a freight train. That's a life-altering sum. If Greg is involved, we must tread carefully. He won't hesitate to protect his interests. Anna's drive surged anew, mixing with a hot sting of anxiety. We need that information to confront him. But once we approach him with this, it'll change everything, Jake finished, his eyes wide. They exchanged glances, an intricate dance of determination and fear, knowing the path ahead was fraught with risks. As they pushed forward, Anna felt her capacity for assertiveness growing, an internal dialogue urging her to stop being a passive participant in her own life. Anna set an appointment with a family lawyer specializing in inheritance disputes. There was a twinge of discomfort as she wrestled with the idea of hiring someone to go against her own family. But she recognized this was the next step, the realization that assembling a knowledgeable defense was not a betrayal, but a means of claiming her independence. As she scheduled the meeting, a shiver of excitement crept along her spine. This was a turning point, a divergence from fear to empowerment, but it also carried a weight of anxiety that sent ripples through her stomach. Jake, there's no going back. Now, she said softly, knowing they were poised on the brink of something unprecedented. They would face Greg armed with facts, poised to lay bare the hidden layers of their family legacy. What awaited them during that confrontation? Would Greg unravel in defense of his interests, or reveal shocking truths that could turn their lives upside down? Anna felt the electric pulse of possibility surge through her. She was ready for this fight, fueled by a newfound conviction in her ability to confront her past, but at what cost? The morning sunlight slipped through the drawn curtains, illuminating the cluttered living room where Anna and Jake sat, surrounded by the consequences of their unearthing. Empty coffee mugs and scattered papers testifying to their late-night efforts littered the small space. The anxiety carved deeper lines on Anna's forehead as she prepared for the meeting with the lawyer, feeling the weight of impending decisions pressing down like a heavy cloak on her shoulders. Are you ready, Mom? Jake asked, his voice hinting at a wavering confidence. Anna inhaled, steadying herself. I have to be. This isn't just about us anymore. The drive to the attorney's office felt longer than usual, every passing moment heavy with the reality of what lay ahead. Anna's mind was a whirlpool of conflicting thoughts. Would Greg take their revelations seriously? Would he attempt to manipulate the situation further? For too long, she had allowed others to dictate her life and the course of her family's legacy. This needed to change. Upon arrival, the office loomed before them, pristine and imposing, reflecting the seriousness of their mission. Anna took a deep breath, the familiar scent of polished wood sending her straight into a spiral of self-reflection. Choosing to engage in this pursuit was undoubtedly a step into a territory fraught with danger, but it was a necessary evolution. The lawyer welcomed them with an understanding demeanor, inviting them to sit at a sleek, glass table. Let us discuss the documents you've uncovered, she began, her pen poised over a notepad, ready to record their findings. As Anna recounted the shocking revelations of the past few days, the debts, the potential inheritance, the implications, she felt the boundaries of her self-doubt push aside. She recognized her voice was strong, articulating the pieces of their family puzzle with clarity. The attorney's eyebrows rose with every revelation, her interest visibly piqued. It's vital you gather as much evidence as possible, the lawyer said, her tone shifting to one of urgency. If Greg is indeed involved, we will need ironclad documentation to protect your family's interests. Anna nodded, the gears in her mind turning. This was no longer just investigation, they were building a case. It was about dictating the narrative, taking the reins of what had been carelessly dismissed for too long. Their meeting concluded, and the reality of what they had set in motion began to settle on Anna like freshly fallen snow. The knowledge gained empowered her. She found herself speaking more confidently, asking questions, and diving deeper into discussions about the next logical steps. The gravity of being equipped with knowledge shifted her perspective on risk now. It felt like a weapon more than a burden. As they left the office, Anna's heartbeat danced to a different rhythm. She was reminded that personal growth often comes with discomfort, yet she relished this newfound capability to take charge of her life. The uncertainties were still there, but they felt more manageable, intertwined with a burgeoning sense of resolve. "What now, Mom?" Jake asked as they stepped out into the crisp air. "We prepare," Anna said, her voice firm. "We collect the evidence, and we ensure that we are well prepared to confront Greg. We're done hiding." An unexpected rush of exhilaration washed over her. The confrontation with Greg loomed large, and for the first time, Anna felt ready not just to defend what was rightfully theirs but to reclaim her position within her family narrative. The time had come to confront the past, but with that confidence surged an undercurrent of dread. This newfound empowerment would be tested, and Anna had no way of knowing what Greg might unveil in their upcoming meeting. Clutching the folder of documents to her chest, she looked at Jake, who mirrored her determination yet carried an echo of trepidation. "Are we truly ready for this?" he asked quietly. Anna met his gaze, her heart pounding with the weight of the question. "I think it's time we find out." As anticipation swelled within them, Anna felt both the exhilaration of claiming her voice and a deep-rooted anxiety about the fallout to come. She understood that this confrontation could unravel everything they had built or pave a path toward uncharted territory, a territory rich with both devastation and liberation. What truths would Greg reveal, and would they shatter or rebuild the fragile structure of their family? The stakes had never been higher, and Anna steeled herself, knowing they were on the brink of a confrontation that would redefine their legacy. The next morning arrived, heavy with a premonition that sent ripples of anxiety through Anna as she prepared for the day's confrontation. The shadows of doubt lingered at the edges of her thoughts, whispering reminders of past failures, moments when she had relinquished control to others. Today, however, she needed to embody resolve rather than reluctance. Jake, now dressed in his school clothes, looked up at her with a mix of admiration and worry. "Are you sure you want to do this alone?" His voice held an earnestness that tugged at her heart. "I need to face this, Jake," Anna said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "It's time for me to act, not just react." The gravity of her statement settled over them, casting a pall that hinted at the significance of the moment. It was more than just a discussion with Greg, it was a personal revolution. As she drove to Greg's office, the streets blurred by, her mind racing through potential scenarios. What if Greg dismissed their claims outright? What if he retaliated with accusations that cast doubt on everything they discovered? The volatile mix of fear and determination churned within her, manifesting as a clenched fist resting on her knee. The building where Greg worked loomed ahead, and Anna could feel the firm ground shift beneath her. This was not just a meeting, it was a test of her resolve, a pitfall into which she could easily fall if she wasn't careful. Inside his office, the atmosphere was sterile, meticulously organized, and deceptively inviting. Greg sat behind a massive desk, a smile flickering on his lips as he saw her enter, but it didn't reach his eyes. The smile felt like a warning, and she steeled herself for the verbal battle ahead. "Anna, it's been a while," he said smoothly, gesturing for her to take a seat. "What brings you here?" The question hung in the air, heavy and loaded. "I'm here to talk about the family assets and the implications of what we've discovered," she declared, her voice steady despite the tremors within. She opened the folder containing their findings, laying the evidence before him like a gauntlet thrown down. His expression shifted subtly, intrigue mixing with annoyance. "You think you can just waltz in here with your little papers and accuse me of what? Mismanagement? Which, by the way, I assured you would be handled properly." "Handled properly? Do you even hear yourself?" Anna leaned forward, eyes flashing with indignation. "These little papers reveal severe mismanagement and a hidden debt that you've kept from us. We deserve transparency." The tension thickened as Greg's facade faltered. For the first time, Anna sensed the vulnerability beneath his polished exterior. This was not just a confrontation, it was a negotiation for her family's legacy, her identity, a chance to reclaim everything that had been lost in the shadows of deceit. "Anna, you have to understand," he began, his tone smoothing into an almost paternal tone. "Not everything is black and white. I did what I thought was best for the family. But were you thinking of us, or just yourself? The words left her mouth before she could second-guess them. A reminder echoed in her head: strength does not come from silence but from using her voice as a weapon against manipulation. Seeing Greg's mask slip, a shift occurred within her. She was no longer the passive observer in this narrative, she was crafting her destiny with every word she spoke. "I won't let you belittle this situation," she pressed, her heart racing with the realization that the discussion had shifted. She was no longer cowering in the space he controlled, she was reclaiming her story. "We're here to ensure that our family's legacy is safeguarded. You will be held accountable." The directness of her confrontation seemed to take him aback. Tension crackled between them, a dance of power shifting to her favor. "Accountable?" Greg's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, she glimpsed the threat hidden behind his calm. "You think you can just threaten me and walk away unscathed?" Anna's heart raced. This was the confrontation she needed. But it was dangerous ground. Just as she was about to respond, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a message from Jake reading, "What is happening? Are you okay?" The urgency of her son's concern jolted her focus. This wasn't just about her, it intertwined with her responsibilities as a mother and protector. As Anna glanced back at Greg, aware now of the fine line between confrontation and resolution, she understood something significant. The risks were greater, but so was her resolve to claim her family's narrative and elevate her own. "I am committed to protecting my family," Anna declared, her voice a righteous roar. "Whatever it takes." But as she held his gaze, deep fear intertwined with fierce determination. What risks would she have to confront next? And what would Greg do in response to this unexpected defiance? In that moment, Anna was faced with a choice: to retreat into hesitation or to leap into the unknown, fully aware that the outcome could change everything. The stakes had never felt higher. Would she emerge as a champion for her family, or would this battle fracture everything she fought to protect? The tension coiled around them, ripe with unanswered questions and looming consequences. Anna braced herself, ready for whatever storm awaited. Would she find the strength to continue facing Greg, or would the revelations of that day unravel her newfound courage altogether? Anna felt the temperature in the room drop, the weight of the confrontation pushing against her like a physical force. Greg leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled, masking his irritation with an air of superiority. She resolved to stand her ground, her convictions forging a steel-like backbone in this treacherous moment. Each passing second heightened the urgency, her pulse quickening as she prepared to dismantle the facade he had so carefully constructed. "Listen," Greg finally said, his voice collected but laced with an undercurrent of menace, "you need to understand the implications of what you're doing. This isn't just about family assets. It's a far more complicated situation than you can comprehend." "Complicated for you perhaps, but not for me," Anna shot back, her determination feeding her voice. "We were kept in the dark. Your denial won't change the facts we have. And now that I know the truth, I will not back down." She could see a flicker of anxiety cross his face, a crack in the armor he wore. Each revelation she forced from him would peel away another layer of control, a shift she realized was not just necessary but inevitable. Anna had never felt this level of clarity before. Here, in this high-stakes dialogue, she was reclaiming not just her family's finances but her very essence as an individual. "What do you plan to do with that information?" he challenged, his tone hardening. "I plan to make sure our family understands the truth. I'm going to ensure we get guidance from professionals if you refuse to be transparent." The fact that her voice resonated with confidence surprised even her. She felt herself rising above the regimen of fear that had followed her for far too long. Greg sighed, attempting to diffuse her resolve with condescension. "You think you can just waltz into this world with your quaint little documents and expect me to lose my standing? I'm afraid you're underestimating how this works." The implication hit Anna hard. It was more than just a fight about money, it involved power that Greg had wielded like a blunt instrument against anyone who dared to challenge him. But that perception sparked fire within her. "Underestimating?" "No," she said, her voice unwavering. "I'm realizing your strength is built on deceit. You think I will accept your narrative because you hold a position of power? Not anymore. This was unfamiliar territory, yet oddly exhilarating. For years, she had cowered beneath the weight of others' decisions, now she was seizing her own. Her heart pulsed in her chest, adrenaline pushing her thoughts to sharpen like knives. Consider this carefully, Anna. Greg's voice became dangerously low, slicing through the tension. By going against me, you risk losing everything: your family's trust, your position, your future. Are you ready to gamble everything? That was the crux of it, wasn't it? A gamble. A realization sunk deep into her core. This wasn't merely a transaction of threats, it was about her values, her dedication to reshaping what seemed shattered into something stronger. Sacrifices would be made, this she knew, but surrender wasn't an option. I would rather lose everything than silence myself in the face of deceit. There's a fire inside me, Greg, and it won't go out. The words unfolded with a newfound power, emboldened by the risks ahead. Greg's look shifted from bewilderment to something deeper: fear, perhaps. The Grand Master of Manipulation had just been outmaneuvered, and she reveled in it. Just as she braced for his response, her phone vibrated once more with another message from Jake, urgent and frantic. Mom, please be careful. I don't want anything to happen to you. Her heart ached at the thought of her son worrying about her. Just as Anna was considering how to reassure him, Greg's icy words broke through her thoughts. Let me make this absolutely clear, Anna, I won't let you disrupt this organization or my position. You think you're standing tall, but you don't know how deep this runs: what I am willing to protect and what you could lose. The cold certainty in his voice chilled her resolve. But it also ignited a flicker of rebellion inside her. This wasn't just a confrontation, it was a pivotal moment where her choices would create ripples far beyond this room. Anna opened her mouth to reply, fortified by a sense of purpose she had never known before, when suddenly, the door burst open, and a man in a suit staggered in, clutching a briefcase. The tension snapped like a taut wire as all eyes turned to the unexpected arrival. What is going on here? He demanded, evidently oblivious to the threaded history between them. The impression he left rippled through the tension, pulling every gaze toward the unknown and igniting a new, uncertain layer of urgency. Anna's heart raced. Who was this man, and what secrets might he hold? In that chaotic moment, she realized the stakes had escalated even further. Would she find a way to probe deeper into the tangled web of deceit, or would this stranger turn the tide against her? The man in the suit surveyed the room, his eyes darting between Anna and Greg, analyzing the palpable tension in the air. I need to talk to you, Greg. It's urgent, he said, sounding assertive yet strangely apprehensive. Greg's demeanor immediately shifted, an alertness creeping into his previously confident posture. What is so urgent that it interrupts this meeting? He asked, irritation laced with apprehension. As the stranger opened his briefcase, Anna's heart raced. What was going to happen now? The vulnerability she had fought so hard to establish felt like it was precariously hanging by a thread. New developments have come to light regarding the loans associated with your family, the man said, producing documents that looked eerily familiar. This concerns the debt that Anna and Jake are contesting. Anna's heart leapt, feeling like the universe was aligning to grant her the validation she sought. She had fought the mountain of evidence and claims, and now it seemed the truth was gaining momentum of its own. What are you saying? Greg demanded, his mask slipping entirely now as anxiety clouded his features. The stranger handed over the documents, locking eyes with Anna as if to say that she was not as powerless as she thought. You have external liabilities tied to the family debts that were not disclosed. This isn't just an internal issue, it's turning into a public matter, and I'm here to ensure you're aware of the ramifications. Anna knew at that moment that their fight was not in vain. She gathered her composure, focused on the stranger, who continued, if you don't rectify this situation quickly, there will be consequences. We're talking about not just financial fallout but potential legal actions against those who've allowed this to slip through the cracks. Anna's mind swirled, the implications of those words stretching across her consciousness as if casting a net over everything she had fought for. The permission she had searched for was now within reach, and she understood they had no choice but to follow through. "Greg, this is your chance to address this matter transparently," Anna urged, her prior fears momentarily eclipsed by confidence. "You can either continue allowing this mismanagement to fester or take the steps needed to assist us in clearing our names." Greg's flippant demeanor cracked like glass, and for the first time, Anna could see the man behind the bravado. He was a person looming on the edge, the weight of his actions met by the gravity of her resolve. "I didn't want it to come to this," he muttered defensively. "You could ruin everything. Ruin or rebuild." She realized, staring at Greg as if into a mirror. Their choices would define what kind of family legacy remained. She straightened, the momentum shifting toward her favor. "True strength lies in accountability," she replied firmly. "The truth doesn't fear light. I want to let the past dictate our future. If there's a way to resolve this together, let us seize it rather than running from it." The suit-wearing stranger nodded in agreement. "Exactly. We can present a united front, and you can begin to mend the fractures within your family's history, but it has to come from a place of honesty." With a softened intensity, Greg looked torn. For every ounce of power he had held, it was becoming clear that bravery wouldn't come from maintaining a facade but from facing the truths buried deep within their legacy. "Get in touch with my attorney," he finally said, his voice trembling slightly. "I'll arrange for a meeting to discuss this properly. These debts need to be addressed, but I can't promise anything." Anna felt as if she had climbed to the precipice of the mountain. It wasn't an outright victory, but it was a shift, and she was prepared to walk into this new chapter with clarity. "That's all we're asking, for transparency and a commitment to work on a resolution that honors what we've built." As they exited the office, the weight of the world transformed into something lighter. Anna felt invigorated, a rival spirit buoyed by the promise of restoring her family's honor. Entwined with recovery from financial turmoil. "You just did it, Mom," Jake exclaimed, pride shining brightly in his eyes. "You stood your ground. You made him back down." A sense of accomplishment filled her heart. She had not only confronted Greg but had also transformed her approach to fear. Each step in this journey had developed her into the advocate she never knew she could be, a woman ready to reclaim her family's future. Their shared laughter and relief echoed as they walked together, the city's sounds fading around them. The process ahead would not be easy, but Anna felt thoroughly equipped with undeniable conviction and loyal resolve. She leaned down to Jake, a smile spreading across her face. "We'll get through this, and we'll do it together. We're not just fighting for our debts, we're fighting for our family's legacy." Jake nodded, his future no longer clouded in distress. Together, they would navigate whatever came next, knowing that in this fight, they found their strength, an unbeatable combination bonded through determination and love. Anna stepped into the sunlight, feeling the warmth of hope envelop her like a well-worn blanket. They dared to dream of a future not weighed down by debt and betrayal, but lifted by their collective courage and tenacity. Stepping forward, she embraced the endless possibilities waiting on the horizon, ready to conquer whatever challenges they had yet to unravel. This was their moment, a turning point in their lives, anchored by the love they shared and the truths they had embraced. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every interaction matters. We want to hear your thoughts. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending below. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to inspire someone else. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these powerful actions.